Tom and Joanne are back this week. They have written a book called Women Who Risk: Secret Agents for Jesus in the Muslim World. In the book, they write about women who give up everything for Christ, even though it means terrible danger. I asked Joanne and Tom how these women can stand so firm for Jesus when facing beatings or worse.
Their beginning, before they prayed to receive Jesus, was with the two questions they were asked before they received Jesus. One, are you willing to be persecuted for Jesus? If they answer yes, then you get the next question. Are you willing to die for Jesus? So they are ready. They have crossed that bridge, and they're living fearlessly.
I was with a group of women in the Middle East, and I was so blessed to go into their Bible study. And I, of course, got there earlier with the leaders. And one by one, these women walked in the middle of the week at an off hour to this Bible study. You know, each of them has their hijabs on, just their faces showing. One by one, they come in when everyone's there. They shut and lock the door, and it was a beautiful sight to behold. One by one, they took off their hijab. And I'll never forget, one of the women did say she is a refugee, so she lives in a one-room home with her husband and son. And she said when she first came to Jesus, call to prayer came, she said she got down on her knees and she just did the call to prayer with her husband. She said, now, internally, I was praying to Jesus, but externally, it looked like I was still a Muslim. And she was so convicted over time that she realized, I'm ashamed of Jesus. And she even went to those women in the Bible study and said, this is what I'm doing, and I know it's wrong. And they agreed with her. They've all had their own struggles too, but she knew that she had to now not bow down the next time the call to prayer, rang in the streets. So the next time the call to prayer sounded, she did not bow down. And she was beaten for it. Several times.
But she was willing.
And she was willing
to take that.
And eventually the beatings got less and less when her husband realized he couldn't change her. But they do pay a price that we really cannot understand here in the West. But what happens when we suffer for Christ, truly you know this here at Voice of the Martyrs, is that the gospel flourishes. It grows. Right. Our faith gets deeper. God does something internally in our hearts to bless us when we are willing to suffer for him. And she did experience that.
In Gaza, we work with Shireen, and she came to faith in Christ years ago, and her husband in and out of prison. And, we just, in her story, she wanted people to pray for her husband. So we just put it in. And that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of
praying, pick up a book. Okay,
praying.
Lord, I'm praying for Muhammad in Gaza, which covers half of Gaza when you pray that prayer, by the way. Anyway, so
that is a very broad prayer.
I know,
so
right?
They're praying. And do you know, just this week, we got a call from Shireen, and she said, my husband has seen Jesus in me. He says it's clear, it's unmistakable. He wants to pray to receive Christ. So we're doing a phone call to pray into the Gaza Strip with him. And I think, there's so many things that go into giving them the strength that they need to stand in the midst of it. Bad marriage, husband not a believer, danger, whatever. But I was thinking about Nadine, and we do videos called I Found the Truth, former Muslims sharing their story. And Nadine was a Muslim from Jordan, and she said the first time she walked into a worship service, women have such a heart for worship. She said, I am choking back tears. I'm pushing them down. I'm just going to explode.
Hearing the worship.
Seeing the joy and the love and hearing the worship. I've never heard anything like that in my life.